Hey, what is up everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken, and today guys, we are here to review the latest Warner Brothers 4K release of Rio Bravo, the next John Wayne film on 4K. Isn't that exciting? But before I get into it guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We talk about physical media, 4Ks, Blu-rays, owning the movies that you love every single day on this channel. So if you like that kind of thing, hit that subscribe button. Also, leave me a comment down below. Is Rio Bravo one of your favorite Westerns of all time? Are you going to get this 4K release from Warner Brothers? I'm definitely going to help you in that decision-making process here today. We're also going to talk about this, how this 4K, compares to the Blu-ray that came out, years ago, and if it's worth upgrading for sure. But let me know in the comment section below if you plan on getting this, what's your thoughts on this movie. I will leave a link for purchase down below in the description. It's currently going for $29.99. And turn on bell notifications for all future videos and reviews. So let's go ahead and jump into Rio Bravo. I do like talking about the actual films themselves before I get into the, technical specs of it. So this is a movie that I heard a lot about last year on the channel because for those of y'all that remember, if you were here, I did a Western month on my channel. So at that time, the Western genre was a huge blind spot for me. So I dedicated an entire month to watch as many Westerns as I possibly could. I think I watched 20 or 25, and I did watch 2 John Wayne films that month. I watched Stagecoach, which I absolutely loved, from the 30s. That was a younger John Wayne. And then I watched The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, which I just thought was a masterpiece. And that also has a 4K upgrade from Paramount as well. And that was an older John Wayne. So now I'm getting the John Wayne a little bit more so in the middle here with Rio Bravo. And for the first time, I'm seeing John Wayne in color as well, because both of those films were black and white. So that's kind of my experience with the genre, and I really enjoyed that month. There was a lot of Westerns that I truly loved in that month, and I really loved the 2 John Wayne movies that I watched. So does this one quite hold up to those? I thought it was really good. I did think it was really good. I thought it was enjoyable, perfectly enjoyable for what it was. I still think John Wayne is great, and I definitely understand why he's the legend that he is. But this one, to me, it was a really good movie, but it wasn't my favorite Western that I've ever seen. I don't feel like it's one that I'm going to go back and watch too often. Now, this was directed by Howard Hawks, who did all kinds of classic films. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, but some of his more notable stuff was The Thing from Another World he did in the early 50s, which of course inspired John Carpenter to make The Thing in 1982, which is the quote-unquote remake. He also did Bringing Up Baby, which has a Criterion release, which I really enjoyed, that comedy from the 30s. He did other Westerns as well, like Red River and El Dorado. So this is the point in his career where he was kind of all in on the Western genre, and he was doing a lot of those. So this is what a lot of people would consider to be his peak Western film of that time. It was also released in 1959. So like I said, you got a more in the middle John Wayne, but this is still more so the later part of his career. He is a little older in this film. He's definitely more seasoned in this movie. It is starring John Wayne, of course, Dean Martin, who I haven't seen a lot of Dean Martin. I've always heard about that name, but I haven't seen a lot of Dean Martin performances. And you have Angie Dickinson in this movie as well, who I don't think I've seen in anything before. So like I said, I did really like this one, but I did also think that it was a little too long and a little too drawn out. This movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes, and I really felt the runtime. I don't think it needed to be that long, especially for the premise that it had, because at the end of the day, the premise is very simple and probably could have been done in an hour and a half, but they do incorporate, this movie kind of is a romance. At the end of the day, I would say it's more a romance than an action-adventure film. So they had to incorporate that love story in there, so they gave that time to develop and time to breathe, between John Wayne and Angie Dickinson. So I think that definitely added to the runtime. But everyone in this movie was great. I had no issues with any of the performances. I thought everybody in this film delivered on some level. I think that Wayne, was a little bit past his prime in his career here. He's still great, but I think that he was kind of getting to the point, I feel like, in his career where it wasn't getting as believable for him to be that badass Duke anymore. He's still very good and he's still a badass in the movie, but it just didn't feel that believable. He's kind of slowly walking around in the film. He's not very quick to the draw, but still very great in the movie as far as his performance, but it's just not as believable as I feel like maybe his earlier films were. And actually, I think the real standout for me and the performance that I enjoyed the most was Angie Dickinson in this movie. She kind of stole the show for me. She's super charming and charismatic and just compelling as a character. Like, you want to learn more about her backstory. You're introduced to her. You don't know too much. So I liked learning more about her and her character. And I thought that she was just super compelling and interesting as a character, and the performance was just intoxicating. Like, I haven't seen a lot of Angie Dickinson, but after seeing this movie, I definitely want to check out more. And like I said, the movie does focus a lot on the romance aspect of it, and I don't think that Wayne and Dickinson necessarily had the best chemistry, because they say in the movie, I don't know if that's how old Angie Dickinson was in real life, but they say she's 22, and John Wayne in this movie has to be, he's at least in his 50s, maybe pushing 60, and he's romantically involved with the 22-year-old. It just doesn't work. And I get it's of its time. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that or anything. It just, you don't buy into that chemistry. He feels more like her dad or a father figure than a romantic interest. So I don't really buy into that chemistry. And since the movie focuses a lot on that developing romance, I just don't feel like that works as well for them and their characters and the movie as a whole. But overall, I still really enjoy this movie. It's not a Western that I'm going to return to repeatedly or anything, but I would still give this a 3.5 out of 5 for the actual film. Now, getting into the transfer of Rio Bravo on 4K, the last time this was released on physical media was on Blu-ray back in 2015, and I think the first Blu-ray actually came out maybe 2008, 2009, and I think that this is a repressed Blu-ray that came out in 2015. There was also like a Walmart edition as well, but they all had the same cover to it, so I don't think there's anything different in terms of the transfer and special features and all that kind of stuff here with this Blu-ray release. So this is the first upgrade that this has gotten since back in probably 2008, and of course it got that re-release in 2015. But this is a native 4K transfer with HDR10, so there's no Dolby Vision here. But I thought this looked wonderful, like across the board. I love, and this is what I don't get with people that say that they don't think that classic movies should be restored in 4K, or they don't see the difference, they don't see the value in it. Like, watch this movie on DVD or Blu-ray and then watch this on 4K and tell me you don't see the value in the 4K upgrade here, because this looked miles ahead of that Blu-ray release. The crystal clear picture quality here was just fantastic. Like, I particularly love Westerns in 4K because I just think that the setting, the Western setting with the desert and the sand and the colors, you know, of the saloons and the buildings and the outfits, I just think all that stuff pops in 4K. So I just love watching a good Western in 4K with a good transfer as well. Like, I always go back to Django, the one that Aerial Video did back in, I believe, 2021. That is one of the best 4K restorations that I have ever seen. And this wasn't that good, but it was still very good and still a great job by Warner Brothers here. Great picture quality with a good amount of grain to help retain that classic film feel. Like, you still feel like you're watching a film from the 50s, just that old school, like, gritty film style Western of the 50s. It still feels like that, but the picture's still very cleaned up, but you do have that grain structure. So I just love what Warner Brothers did with the restoration here. I thought it looked absolutely fantastic. And that HDR did so much to enhance the colors of some of the outfits that John Wayne was wearing and Angie Dickinson. He's got this kind of red shirt with the vest on, and it looked fantastic with that HDR. Just looked excellent. The colors were super vibrant and really stood out. But Angie Dickinson's got this like yellow top on that just like took my breath away with how that looked in 4K. It was absolutely fantastic. So I think this was definitely a knockout 4K restoration by Warner Brothers. Definitely miles ahead, like I said, of that Blu-ray release. They did a terrific job here. Now, getting into the audio, this is a DTS HD Master Audio 2.0 mono track. And I thought everything sounded great. I don't feel like this is a movie that needs like the 5.1 or the Dolby Atmos. That would always be appreciated. But again, this is an old movie from the 50s. They didn't have that kind of technology. So how much can you really do with Dolby Atmos. I think the 2.0 mono is perfectly fine here, and everything sounded great. I didn't have an issue with the sound here at all whatsoever. Now let's go ahead and get into the negatives, because the last two categories that I usually talk about are filled with negatives that I'm just going to rail on Warner Brothers over. I don't understand for the life of me why they just randomly put out 4K titles without slipcovers. And I know some people will watch this video and they'll be like, Ken, I don't care about a piece of cardboard. And if you don't care about a piece of cardboard, this part is not for you. You will be happy with this release in terms of packaging, because I think the artwork is freaking fantastic. I love the artwork there. I love the gold banner. And, you know, on the back, you got the synopsis and the casting list and all the specs and all that good stuff. You open it up, you do get a digital code. No real disc art or anything, just a gold disc. But I just don't understand why they randomly decide to put these movies out with no slipcover. It just doesn't make any sense to me. They know people like their slip, especially like the people that are buying this stuff now. Like they like the packaging, and I think that at least on the first run, you need to have that slipcover. I think Giant, which came out last year, didn't have a slipcover. The Outsiders didn't have a slipcover when they put that out. It's just like randomly out of nowhere, Warner Brothers will put these movies out without slipcovers, and I just think it's BS. So yes, this does not have a slipcover on it. Even brand new, you will not get a slipcover with Rio Bravo. So getting into the special features, another huge negative here. At least they kept the commentary that was on the Blu-ray from back in the day, but they completely cut out two special features that were present on this Blu-ray release, because the Blu-ray is not included in this 4K. It's just the 4K. But they cut out two sizable special features, including a documentary on the director Howard Hawks' commemoration, Howard Hawks' Rio Bravo, and also a featurette, Old Tuscan, Where the Legends Walked. So they cut both of those features out of this release, and those were sizable special features. Now, I don't know if this is the same case as Vacation, because I reviewed that a month ago, where they put those features on the digital code, but still, it's BS. Like, why can't you put that on the 4K disc at least? And if you're not going to put it on the 4K disc, include the Blu-ray so people can still have those features and maybe get rid of this Blu-ray, because I can't get rid of this Blu-ray now. This Blu-ray has to stay in my collection because it has two features that this 4K does not. And I think if you're putting out the definitive release, what's supposed to be the definitive release of a movie, it needs to include everything that's been available for this movie before. Like, I just don't get why they wouldn't port over those two features. Again, a documentary and a featurette. And I don't know if this, I actually don't think this has that theatrical trailer in it as well. But at least they took the commentary and they put it on this. So I guess we should be thankful there, but not really, because I think it's just complete BS that they did not do that. They completely cut it out, and I'm getting tired of it, to be honest, from Warner Brothers, why they keep doing that kind of stuff. So at the end of the day, guys, for $29.99, which is what this is currently priced, I think it's a fantastic transfer. I really do. I think that Warner Brothers did a terrific job in restoring this classic Western film. I cannot recommend picking this up at that price of $29.99. Now, maybe if it drops down to, you know, 19, 20 bucks, I could recommend it then, but at the current price of $30, they didn't include a Blu-ray. They cut the special features out of this Blu-ray release that came out a decade and a half ago, just completely cut them out. I just can't recommend it. If you have this Blu-ray, I've heard this Blu-ray actually looks really good. You might just want to keep it and maybe get this on a sale somewhere down the line. Again, it looks great. Now, if you're just a huge, massive fan of this movie and you gotta have it in the best possible picture quality, you'll be satisfied with this release. But like I said, hold on to your Blu-ray. Do not get rid of it, because it did not port over those special features. So that's my review, guys, of Rio Bravo on 4K. And again, without the slip as well, like, which is just like, come on, Warner Brothers, what are you all doing? It's like you're great in certain respects, and in other respects you suck. I'm kind of tired of it. But thank y'all so much for watching my review of Rio Bravo on 4K. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on those bell notifications for all future videos, and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are down below in the description, and we'll see you next time.